Hi, welcome to another video. I'm RevloGM and I play a fair bit of Pathfinder 2nd edition these days. But there are still a great many things that I am not the most familiar with, especially on the more player side of things, as I am only really a game master. Spells being a large component of that, as I've used certain spells with certain enemies and I'm used to the ones that my players will be throwing back at me, as it were, but that's not an awful lot in the grand scheme of things, especially not towards higher levels either. So I figured it'd be a good thing for me to start just looking through to familiarise myself with a bit more, starting at low levels and going up to higher ones as time goes on. We're going to be looking at cantrips today, and yeah, just seeing what things I find interesting, essentially. These aren't necessarily going to be the best or the most useful, and they're not in any particular order either. Some of them are going to be from 2E Classic, and some are going to be from the remaster, so some will be legacy content, at least until they are remastered, if that does happen. I don't think this is going to matter too much, but I'll mention it where it is relevant. So, if Pathfinder is new to you and you're interested in the spells at all, this won't be an exhaustive list. I'll try and link one of those that does exist if there are ones, or any about more specific use of spells in Pathfinder, but hopefully this will showcase you some of the more interesting and unique options from the system. Though if you do know Pathfinder quite well, please let me know your favourites down below too. Alright, let's get into it. First up we have Approximate, which is a legacy content cantrip. It's 2 actions and has the cantrip, detection and divination traits. It is in the arcane, divine, occult and primal traditions, so all 4 of them, and is originally from Secrets of Magic. It has somatic and verbal components, has a range of 10 feet and an area of 1 cubic foot. Your magic quickly flows over an area to help you count and catalogue. Name a particular type of object you are looking for within an area, and then you gain an instant estimate of the quantity of the chosen objects that are clearly visible within the target area. The number is rounded to the largest digit. For example, you could have a look at a pile of 180 copper coins and you'd learn that it held about 200 coins, but you couldn't determine that there were exactly 180. The type of object you name can be as specific or general as you like. Dented copper coins is as viable as coins, but the distinguishing features must be obvious at a glance, and the spell is automatically fooled by objects disguised as other objects. For instance, the spell would register copper coins plated in gold as gold coins, not copper coins. So there we go, not a useful combat spell or anything like that by any means, but certainly a spell that, if you could make it, would definitely exist for just cataloguing and that kind of things for either businesses or for adventuring parties when they're trying to figure out how much is in a hoard. Definitely a fun kind of spell from that perspective. Our second spell that we have is the Infectious Enthusiasm cantrip, which is also from Secrets of Magic and also now legacy content. It has the emotion, enchantment and mental traits, obviously cantrip as well, but I'm not going to say that each time. It's 2 actions and is an arcane and occult spell. It has the somatic and verbal components and has a duration of 1 round. With enchanted gusto, you encourage yourself to get things done and share your motivation with your allies. You get a +1 status bonus to your choice of attack rolls, will saves, or charisma-based skill checks. During the spell's duration, an ally who observed you casting the spell and one was within 30 feet of you when you did so can take a single action which has a concentrate trait to gain the same bonus you chose until the start of its next turn. Using this spell to influence someone in a social situation is typically considered a faux pas, negating the benefit on charisma-based checks in the subject of the check observed you if the subject of the check observed you casting the spell, which makes a lot of sense. But this is a fun one. A status bonus is one of many types of bonus, or like 4 types of bonus. Often you'll be gaining circumstance bonuses from other factors, so this, in some situations at least, will be another bonus you can stack on top to increase your will saves, charisma-based skill checks, or attack rolls especially. So that's pretty cool. Again, this one is a useful spell because it can be used in combat for those will saves or attack rolls, or potentially charisma-based checks for like intimidation and stuff, but also outside of them for more social situations. Even if you know, someone notices you doing it, it's not going to go quite as well. So you've got to be kind of tricky, kind of pay attention with that one, because yeah, you might screw it up. Next up, this is going to sound familiar again, is Read the Air, also legacy content from Secrets of Magic. Secrets of Magic has lots of cool spells in, what can I say? It makes sense, I think. It has the divination trait, and is in the divine and occult traditions. It costs 2 actions, and has the somatic and verbal components. It has the duration of 1 minute. You take a deep breath as you survey a social situation, showing courtesy to all around you as your intuition swiftly picks up clues about social context and unspoken assumptions of behaviour. Your body language subconsciously changes to take advantage of this information and use it in your own interactions with those creatures. As part of casting the spell, you recall knowledge using society to gain information about the immediate social situation. You gain a +1 status bonus on your next diplomacy check to make an impression on those creatures present when you cast this spell. As long as the check occurs during the duration of the spell, you can read the air only once in a given social situation. Casting it again has no effect. So this one's again another really interesting, entirely social spell. The last one we had was kind of a combat support one. The first one was kind of cataloguing downtime sort of one, and this is very much a social spell to kind of learn more about those around you and give you some insight to help with your next diplomatic suggestion. Just again, a really unique, really cool idea. Vitality Lash is not legacy, it is from Player Core. It has the Concentrate, Manipulate and Vitality traits, and is in the Divine and Primal traditions. It also comes under the Life Mystery for when that is relevant. I think that's for, is that Oracles? I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head. Again, that's an element I don't know quite so well. Let me know down in the comments below. It has a range of 30 feet and targets one creature that is undead or otherwise has void healing. And it is against a basic fortitude save. That is the defense that is rolled against this spell. You demolish the target's corrupted essence with energy from Creation's Forge. You deal 2d6 vitality damage with the basic fortitude save. And if the creature critically fails the save, it is also enfeebled 1 until the start of your next turn. And when this spell is cast at high levels, well, it's a cantrip, so you don't cast it at high levels, but as you level up, your cantrips level up with you, and at high levels the damage does increase. The previous spells don't have any heightened values or changes, I don't think, being outside of combat spells, but this one does. This is pretty much just a standard combat spell, but I like the more anti-void energy it has with the healing vitality damage affecting, you know, kind of void creatures and things like that. It's just very fun, it's more unique, and it's a bit more interesting and leads more into the, you know, the additional kind of damage types that we have in Pathfinder. It also helps teach us about the 4 levels of success for spellcasting when it's done against a save. You can critically succeed when nothing happens, succeed when usually you'll take half damage, fail where you take full damage, and critically fail where you take full damage and another effect happens. In this situation, enfeebled, which is enfeebled 1, you take a status penalty equal to the condition value to strength-based rolls and DCs, including strength-based melee attack rolls, strength-based damage rolls, and athletics checks. So you'd be at a -1 to all of those, which is good as well for you, not for the thing you've cast Vitality Lash on. The next spell we have is Phase Bolt, which is another offense cantrip. This one is legacy content from Dark Archive and has the attack and evocation traits. It's in the arcane and occult traditions and has somatic and verbal components and costs 2 actions to cast. It has a range of 30 feet and targets 1 creature. You point your finger and project a bolt of magical energy that stutters in and out of phase until it reaches the target. You make a ranged spell attack roll against your target's AC. And if the target has any circumstance bonuses to AC from a shield or from cover, you reduce that bonus by 2 for this attack. On a success, you deal 3d4 piercing damage, and on a crit, the target takes double damage. And at heightened levels, you increase the bolt's damage by 1d4. Again, this is another standard damaging attack, that this one is against a AC that you make an attack roll for, but because hiding behind cover and using your raise shield ability and things like that is quite a big thing in Pathfinder, I put this one in here because this is one which is like, yeah, they can raise their shield, but most shields are going to give you +1 or +2 AC for the most part. There are ones that do higher, but that's usually mount, and then this negates that, which is kind of terrifying if you're using it against people, but pretty cool from that kind of angle as well. Okay, next up we have Needle Darts, another offense one, 2 actions, the attack, concentrate, manipulate, and metal traits from, again, Rage of Elements, which is after the remaster. This one has a note that any spells which require metal to function require the PC to be in possession of at least one chunk of that metal or an item made of said metal. This is in the Arcane, Divine, Occult and Primal traditions, has a range of 60 feet and targets one creature against AC defense. You shape 3 needles out of a piece of metal in your possession and send them flying in a tight group towards one target. You make a spell attack roll against the target's AC, and the needles deal 3d4 piercing damage again, and might cause bleeding. The needles impart any special properties of the metal that forms from them. For instance, cold iron needles deal damage additionally to creatures with a weakness to cold iron. All the needles are made of the same metal, and the metal returns to you after the attack. Another offense spell, and actually also 3d4 piercing damage, but whereas Phase Bolt hits things potentially at a lower AC, this one is created from metal that you have, and if you have cold iron or silver and things like that, you can use it to deal that additional damage to creatures where that is relevant. And also, on a critical success, the target takes double damage and 1 persistent bleed damage, which means they'll take a little tick of damage each turn until they recover from that. At heightened levels, you send 1 additional needle, which increases the regular damage by 1d4 and increases the bleed caused on a crit by 1 as well. I also like the narrative elements of this because it is just from metal that you have. It can just be from a chunk, or if you're a certain type of fighter caster, maybe you've got like a sword or an axe or something, and you are able to needle darts and it just pulls a chunk out of your sword or something, and that kind of idea is quite cool and fun as well. Next up, we have a healing cantrip, Healing Plaster, which is 1 action from Secrets of Magic again, so legacy content, has the Earth and Transmutation traits. It's in the Primal tradition, has 1 action and is somatic, range of 5 feet, and it targets a handful of dirt or mud with a duration of 10 minutes. You purify some dirt and mud into a pliable, clay-like plaster that can aid in clotting and healing. The restorative substance can be used in lieu of healer's tools for medicine checks to administer first aid or treat wounds. If the plaster isn't used within the spell's duration, or if you cast the spell again before using said plaster, it reverts to being normal, non-magical earth. And at heightened levels, plaster can grant anyone using it to administer first aid or treat wounds a +1 item bonus to the medicine check. This is one that doesn't heighten at every level, it just heightens specifically when it becomes a 3rd level cantrip, and then that's that. The other ones that we've talked so far, just the damage increases and the bleeding increased in the situation with needle darts. So this is cool, it's not direct healing, but it allows you to do something more narrative. If you're, say, like a druid or a ranger with a little bit of spell casting, you might have this spell instead of carrying around a bunch of healer's tools, and you know, you're out in the woods and you just grab this lob of earth and you're able to help to use that to heal your allies. That obviously means also, yeah, when you're outside of your element, if you're in a castle or in something that's full of metal, and it's like, oh, my ability to heal is kind of not as powerful here, which is mechanically and also from an RP perspective, I think, quite evocative. Forbidding Ward is another one from player core that we have. It's another concentrate and manipulate trait cantrip with the divine and occult traditions. It's got a range of 30 feet and targets 1 ally and 1 enemy, and it can be sustained for up to 1 minute. Sustained is when you continue the casting of a spell. You ward an ally against the attacks and hostile spells from the target enemy. The target ally gains a +1 status bonus to armor class and saving throws against the target's enemy's attacks, spells, and other effects. And then when you heighten this up to a 6th level cantrip, the bonus increases to +2. Now again, this is a status bonus. There are a bunch of different abilities and things like raising shields, which give you circumstance bonuses to your AC. So if you raise your shield, that gives you +2, say, to your armor class, unless they're using phase bolt against you. Then this +1 status bonus to your armor is in addition. Those two can stack together, giving you a better AC. Obviously, you've got to keep in mind which enemy it is and which ally, but I like this kind of specific team kind of corporation thing again. If you've got like your fighter or your champion maybe, who's going to be tanking a lot of the hits from the main bad guy, you can set those two up, and then they are now more protected against that person, which is, you know, pretty cool for a cantrip, and increasing it to a +2 at 6th level is pretty nice as well. You've got to remember that in Pathfinder, if you beat someone's AC by 10 or more, that also becomes a critical hit, so a difference of 1 to your AC can really make a difference. So putting it on like a very high level character to just make it really hard to hit them is great, or putting them on someone whose AC is a bit lower, so that, you know, just the opportunity, if they have got stuck in melee or something, of getting them crit and really hurt is also diminished. Both work well. And then to round out the list, we have one more from Dark Archive, so legacy content, Time Sense. This is a divination trait cantrip in the arcane and occult traditions, and relate to the mystery time for when that comes up. It is verbal components and costs 1 action to cast. When you cast the spell, you gain a perfect sense of time. You can learn exactly what time it is, down to the second. You could instead choose to gain a perfect sense of the calendar if you have knowledge of it in that area, and if you're trained in nature, you can learn exactly how long it is until sunrise and how many days until the next solstice. If you're trained in astronomy lore, you can learn precisely when any predictable known astronomical conjunction will begin and end, and so on. So there's probably more things you could ask your GM if you would be able to know based on this spell as well. You gain a +1 status bonus to 1 attack roll, perception check, saving throw, or skill check you take on the same turn you cast Time Sense that requires extremely precise timing. If you choose to gain this bonus, you can't gain it again for an hour. This is a really fun, again, just kind of like RP sort of element spell, but I like that there is an option to utilize it at least on occasion within like a combat or a more intense situation as well. Sure, it can be used for just tracking time or navigating potentially and things like that, but you have got situations where if there's something that's going to require very precise timing, maybe as part of an ambush or something, you want to get the exact time right for when others are taking part in the action as well and striking, to get that +1 bonus. That's a really cool thing to add as well, I think. And I like that this gives you different additional abilities with it based on what skills you're trained in, being trained in nature or astronomy lore as the examples it gives. And there you go, that's 10. I think it's 10 anyway, they kind of flew by. Cantrips from Pathfinder 2nd edition that I like, that I think are cool, and showcase some of the elements of spellcasting the system pretty well. I'm sure there's plenty of others that do too. There's lots of spells in Pathfinder, lots of cantrips across the 4 different traditions, and I'm sure we could talk about many more, and maybe we will. But I hope that was interesting. We'll do first level spells next time. There's a lot of first level spells. Maybe we'll do 10, maybe we'll do more. We'll have to see. But yeah, what are your favourite cantrips in Pathfinder? Let me know down in the comments below. Pathfinder 2nd edition, or hey, Pathfinder 1st edition as well. Why not? All the Pathfinder spells. But yeah, that's all for this week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.